Hey, hey, hey. Time for the Out of This World story from rSpace. If he's cheated on you once, it's like finding out your favorite show had a pilot episode you didn't know about. There's probably a whole season of shenanigans you missed. Today on rSpace, here's to discovering a surprise sequel to a bad movie you never wanted in the first place. Found his secret Reddit account. And I'm furious. On a throwaway account because he doesn't know yet. I've been suspicious for quite a long time now, months, and have been quietly investigating on my own. Been seeing changes in behavior, an uptick in phone usage, and have felt more distance coming from him. Every once in a while I've gotten a gut feeling that he had been with someone else that day. A few times he had smelled different coming home, slight distant in behavior, almost like he doesn't want to get too close to me and acting a bit nervous. All this has triggered me into snooping through his phone when he leaves it around and when he is sleeping. I've come across a few apps that I have learned is frequently used by people who cheat to communicate with affair partners. I also came across his secret Reddit account and his activity on an adultery sub this weekend, and I was finally able to confirm that he is actively cheating on me. I am effing gutted, and I don't know what to do. He doesn't know that I know, and it has taken everything in me to try to act normal in front of him and the kids. I have confided in one friend because I just don't know how to handle this, and I can barely stop from shaking all weekend. She told me to do more investigation to see if I can find out who the affair partner is before I confront him. I never thought I would be here, contemplating divorce, what will happen to my kids, losing all of our life plans. What the F? I don't effing deserve this. All I can think of is what an effing waste. He's ruined everything. Update. Hi everyone. I first want to thank you all for your advice and support. I'm not someone who likes to post or air my personal struggles, but in a very real moment of anxiety, panic, sadness, and a bit of whine, I made this post. And I'm so glad I did. It makes me sad to think of all you who have gone through this type of betrayal, and at the same time, has made me feel less alone. I spoke to an attorney today. We are in a no-fault state, so infidelity wouldn't impact a divorce. But if it came to a custody battle, the details of the infidelity might be helpful. I am grateful the attorney has an opening tomorrow, although I don't think I'm quite ready to make any sound decisions. His next opening isn't for 3 weeks, and I want to do as much research done as possible before I confront my husband, and I don't want to wait 3 weeks for the confrontation. So, tomorrow it is. The one friend I've confided in was able to get me an IT specialist who is a family member of hers. He met with me this morning and he was able to retrieve a lot of helpful information, including affair partner's identity. I will wait until after I meet with the attorney to decide how to handle a affair partner. I feel like everything is moving very fast, but at the same time, not fast enough, as I know I need to gather all the information and get my ducks in a row before my husband is tipped off. But I also just want to get this confrontation over with. Thank you all again. Let's get a couple community reactions. First off, let me say I am so sorry you're going through this. I remember that adrenaline rush, the shakes, stomach knotting up feeling, the absolute rage when you find the evidence. It's literally gutting and incites such a visceral reaction. You're doing everything right. You want to gather as much intel and evidence as you can before confronting him. Don't give him any chance at all to downplay or gaslight. He'll most likely try to say, "It was just online stuff," which will still be cheating. So if you can get proof it was something physical, definitely save that. I wish all the best for you and your kids. You deserve so much better than some loser using not safe for work subreddits outside of his relationship. Ugh. The OP replies, "Thank you so much for the advice. I definitely have evidence of a physical affair, at least from the details he has talked about on an adultery sub. It's been very difficult to not confront him. Having the kids around has helped with that though, because I'm trying to not tip them off. They are teenagers and it will be extremely difficult to hide this from them once the crap hits the fan, which infuriates me even more. Emotions have been all over the place. From I have no other choice but divorce to how can we fix this to how the F are the kids going to react when they find out. I'm so resentful that he's placed all this crap on my shoulders. He's very smart though, and I know I need to do all my investigating before I confront him." The joys of modern romance. Isn't it lovely when your partner's idea of quality time includes visiting not safe for work subreddits? I can almost hear the vows now. To love, honor, and secretly troll adultery forums till death do us part. Seriously though, I'm sorry you're going through all this. Your sleuthing skills are on point. Nancy Drew would be proud. Just remember, you're not alone. Update 1. This morning I met with my attorney for over 2 hours. Yesterday he had sent me a ton of paperwork and a list of things to bring. Basically, all of our financials. I felt prepared. Meeting with him put me in a bit more at ease as far as my own financial future goes, which was a huge concern. We live in a no-fault state, which means infidelity won't have bearing in the event of a divorce. However, if there's a custody battle, which I don't see happening, the details of the affair could be useful. I asked my attorney if it would be appropriate to contact affair partner's husband, and he gave me the green light to do so. Right after my meeting with my attorney, I called the affair partner's husband. It was a short phone call, letting him know about the relationship between our spouses and that my husband is unaware of my knowledge of the relationship. He asked to call me back, and shortly after he texted me asking to meet me in person this afternoon. He assured me he would not tell his wife I had contacted him. Well, I just left our meeting. I'm sitting in the car feeling a sense of relief, but also dread. Affair partner's husband has been suspicious for months. They live in a few towns over, and we live about an hour away from a major city. My husband spends a great deal of the work week in the city. In fact, we have an apartment there so he can avoid the long commute home during the week when meetings run late, and he has work dinners. The husband says affair partner has been spending a lot more overnights during the week than was typical in the past few months for work. She had been on her phone a lot more frequently and had become protective of her phone. He saw a flirty text over her shoulder at one point and accused her of cheating about 2 months ago. She had excuses. He let it go. The majority of their meetups were at our apartment. I told him their message exchanges proved this. A few of my favorites were from her. "I wonder if your wife will smell me on her sheets. I hope she does," was sent when my husband told her of a planned weekend in the city with me and my kids. "Is it wrong that I think of the apartment as our apartment? Home? Just me and you in our little love nest." An apartment I own half of, by the way. I gave affair partner's husband a thumb drive of all the evidence I had discovered. There's a lot. And a very detailed spreadsheet of every meetup, dinner, gift, hotel visit, etc., etc., etc. My husband would be very proud of that. He is a spreadsheet guy. Affair partner's significant other asked me to wait a few days to confront my husband to do his own investigating. I gave him the info of my new BFF, IT expert, and my divorce attorney. I've mentioned looking into getting one. One thing I should add, this man is extremely good looking and very in shape. My husband is a good looking guy too and takes care of himself. But this guy was really something. I don't know why that surprised me. He was also very kind and sympathetic, which I was relieved about because I was wary of the response I would receive. The plan is to keep in touch so that we can confront both of them at the same time. Separately, of course. Let's see what the community thinks so far. First person says, "If it were me and this finally blows up, I'd straight tell my husband I don't know why affair partner slept with him because her husband is way hotter. But I'm a jerk." The next person says, "Well done. Other betrayed spouse should follow your lead. I was with you 100% right up to the last statement, so that we can confront both of them at the same time, separately of course. There is no way on this earth I could resist confronting them by having other betrayed husband walk into the apartment with me when they were together. I wish you the very best." Bravo on the evidence gathering. I'm sure you're right. Your husband will be thrilled to see his beloved spreadsheets used for such a noble cause. Meeting the affair partner's husband must have felt like something out of a spy movie. I mean, who knew infidelity investigation could double as speed dating? Nice touch noticing his good looks and fitness level, because why not? If you're going to endure this dumpster fire, might as well appreciate the view. I wonder if your wife will smell me on her sheets. Really? The only thing she's achieved is proving that cliche lines aren't just for the movies. Sharing a thumb drive with all that dirt is a master stroke. It's the ultimate thank you next move. Update 2. Spoke to other betrayed spouse today regarding evidence found and logistics of confrontation. Other betrayed spouse has said at our meeting that he was going straight to divorce. Reviewing the evidence I provided to him and then his own investigation eliminated any little doubts he had about divorce. My husband has been in the city for work since Monday and he comes home tomorrow. Other betrayed spouse and I are both confronting our spouses tomorrow night, at the same time, but separately. A question that other betrayed spouse had asked me was what was the one date time that bothered me the most. He said for him it was when affair partner said she was away in LA for work. Their son is asthmatic and he had the flu while she was supposedly in LA, and he was in the ER over 10 hours with his son. She was actually in the city with my husband just 1 hour away. It obviously would have blown her cover to come home, and other betrayed spouse said he was blown away that covering up her own lies was worth more than being there for their son. For me, I think it was when we had planned a 3-day trip to tour my son's top choice of colleges and explore the city of that college. This had been planned for a few months, but a few days before the trip, my husband had a work commitment come up. In messages, I found that a fair partner also had a work commitment unexpectedly come up. My husband chose to spend those 3 days with a fair partner, rather than spend that time having a pretty amazing experience helping our son make a choice for his future. Yes, son got into this college and will be attending this fall. I'm a nervous wreck for tomorrow night's confrontation. Today, other betrayed spouse said, "We're on the same team. We'll get through this." I hope so. Update 3. Do you think we have a good marriage? Yes, of course. Why are you asking this? You're happy in our marriage? You think we had a good marriage? Yes, everything is great. You're scaring me. Why are you asking this? Are you not happy? Right now, I'm not happy. I'm pretty effing miserable right now. Okay. I thought we were happy too, which is why I'm trying to figure out why you're cheating on me. What? Why would you say that? Because you're cheating. How can you say that? Now I'm pissed. I would never do that to you. How could you say that? You know I would never do that. I know you're cheating. Silence. Head in hands, looking at the floor. Then jumps off the couch and storms into our bedroom saying, "I need a minute." After he returns about 10 minutes later, eyes red like he'd been crying. First thing he says is, "What do we do now?" I say, "I know you've been cheating. I want you to be honest with me." He says, "I'm sorry. I'm so effing sorry." Conversation devolves into me asking for details. He goes on to say it was just a fling. It's over. She meant nothing to him. It didn't last long. He doesn't know why he did it. He's sorry. He's so sorry. There were no feelings involved. Both of us were crying. I was crying a lot. At one point I say, "I must have done something really terrible to you for you to do this." He says, "You've done nothing. It wasn't about you." What was it about? I don't understand. We have this beautiful life. There has to be a reason, and I don't want to hear that you don't know why you did this. And this is what he said, which I can't wrap my head around. Everything with us was great. It's always been great. But I started getting attention from her and it just happened. I started thinking about the monotony of our life. There are no highs and lows. It just felt exciting, I guess. And once it started, I wasn't able to stop. It was like the adrenaline took over. My response was, "Let me get this straight. You started effing someone else, sneaking around, lying, blew up our entire life because we were too happy?" He admitted it sounded stupid saying it out loud, but it's just how he felt. I asked who she is. He wouldn't answer. He said she has a husband and kids and he didn't want to wreck that. What about our marriage? Me? Our kids? It says so much that you are choosing to protect her and her family over us. He said it's not like that. At this point, I told him he had to leave, which he resisted at first, but I was literally breaking down and so upset, and I told him I couldn't be around him. So he packed up, coming to me every few minutes to check on me and say, "I'm so sorry." My brother showed up as he was packing. I told him I already have a divorce attorney working on things, that he needed to get an attorney. This shocked him. "You can't just decide on your own we are done. We have to talk about this. We can work through this. There's the kids to think about." My only response was, "Seems to me you, and a fair partner's name, already decided this for us. Don't worry, she's having just as crappy of a night as you are." This made my brothers laugh. And my soon-to-be ex looked surprised at the mention of a fair partner's name. My oldest brother walked out with him, and I saw them arguing out in the driveway. Then he left. I spoke to other betrayed spouse briefly last night and again this morning. This has gotten long, so I will do a short update and another update post, maybe tomorrow. But as a mini update, a fair partner is at a hotel right now. Of course, the community has some thoughts. First, oh, big hugs, OP. His responses really say it all, don't they? Deny, ask what you know, say it's over, blame the affair partner, protect the affair partner. You did nothing wrong. It's all about him. While you may not like confrontations, you handled this one perfectly. Kudos to your family for supporting you when life is messy. The OP replies, "Thank you. I called him a cliche with the whole playbook he was using." The next person says, "Boss woman, you. They are, for some reason, always trying to protect the piece of crap they cheated with. Always. My wayward husband still does this." The OP replies, "I specifically wanted to ask about her identity because I had to read so much of the adultery sub I first caught him on about protect the affair partner at all costs. I wanted to see if he would do this. He didn't mention her name once in the 2-hour conversation we had, and so that's why I asked towards the end. One more person says, so gross. It really goes to show that he doesn't feel remorse. He doubled down when he protected affair partner at all costs. It's kind of crazy that you know of his secret Reddit and therefore have access to so much of his inner dialogue. Did you screenshot many of his posts? He may delete all of it now if he suspects you found it. The OP replies, I have screenshots of everything. First, he denies everything. Then he plays the I need a minute card. And finally, he confesses while still trying to protect this precious affair partner. Classic. It's almost laughable that he tried to convince you that everything was fine in your marriage right before you dropped the cheating bombshell. His response? Total shock, because who could have guessed that sneaking around and betraying your family might lead to some consequences? And the affair partner's husband? What a champ. He's got his ducks in a row. Filing for divorce faster than your husband can say, it was just a fling. The fact that the affair partner chose to stay with your husband while her kid was in the ER really speaks volumes. Mother of the Year material right there. When you mentioned your son's college trip, it's clear that your husband's priorities were right where they shouldn't be. I mean, skipping a meaningful family event for a tryst? That's a new level of selfish. Your confrontation strategy is solid. I love the bit where you told him you already have a divorce attorney. Talk about a power move. Good on you for having screenshots of everything. You got all the evidence you need to show the court who he really is. Stay strong. You're handling this like a boss. And there's no doubt you'll come out on top. Update 4. This morning we talked with the kids. Anonymous or not, I'm not going to get too detailed about the discussion to protect my kids' privacy. I feel it's unfair to dive too deeply here about their most vulnerable moments. Kids' ages 14, 16, 17, almost 18. Beforehand, I had spoken to soon-to-be ex about this talk, telling him the information my therapist gave me on the healthiest way to approach it. I told him that he should be the one doing the talking because, well, we all know why. He did not want to have this talk. Felt like it was too soon and, what if we work things out? It will just confuse them and get them upset for nothing. I then explained that, 1, they will know something is up because he will no longer be living with us. 2, the only thing to work out going further is a co-parenting plan. He tried to engage in a discussion about us. I declined the offer and kept it about the game plan of the conversation about the kids. Sat down with the kids when they came home from my sister's house. My soon-to-be ex started the discussion using the very vague explanation the therapist suggested. We are having problems. Can't find a resolution to those problems, and I think it's best for Dad to move out for a while so it doesn't affect the kids. There won't be a lot of difference in our home life since Dad spends much of the week in the city, and Dad will be able to spend time with them on the weekends. Silence from all 3 kids. Oldest. You're cheating on Mom, aren't you? Other 2 chime in. Stop, he would never do that. Arguing amongst the 3 kids. Soon-to-be ex says, not one thing. Nothing. I asked them to calm down so we can talk. Oldest. Everything's been fine. We'd know if you've not been getting along. You're cheating, aren't you? It has to be that. Soon-to-be ex is silent. Won't say a thing. Me to ex. You have to tell them. Silence. Me to the kids. Yes. All 3 start yelling and crying. How could you do this? Why would you do this? Are you getting a divorce? Lots of yelling and crying. I hate you. On and on and on. Soon-to-be ex. I know you're all upset. You have a right to be. I've let you down. But this has nothing to do with you. It's between me and Mom. I think he might have said this as a way to let them know this isn't their fault, but it backfired. How can you say it has nothing to do with us? It has everything to do with us. My oldest called him a hypocrite. Always telling us to respect women, lecturing me about how to treat my girlfriend, and you're effing around on Mom? There was a lot more conversation, mostly the kids saying things in anger and soon-to-be ex apologizing. When things calmed down, I told them that they can go to my brother's house, that I needed to talk to Dad privately. All my brothers and my sister and spouses had gathered at my brother's house knowing I was telling the kids and thinking having their cousins around afterwards might be a support for them. Before they leave, my oldest says, Mom, he's not staying here, right? Like, he's not coming back here, right? I mean, there's no coming back from this. You know that, right? Once the kids left, I told him he should pack more stuff while we are all gone. He said, Don't you want to talk? I said, what else is there to say? I'm effing traumatized having to sit and watch these kids go through that. Now, are you thinking of the consequences? Are the effing lows worth it? I told him to text me when he's gone, so I know he won't be here when I got back. The community has some more thoughts. First up, oh boy, My heart really goes out to your kids. Your oldest sounds like he will have the hardest time with this. He also sounds like he will be a fine young man. Your post really drives home the devastation cheating causes for the what? To get your rocks off? A few minutes of jollies? It is in itself the most selfish act there could be. Again, you handled your business like a boss. Your soon-to-be ex-husband with, "Don't you want to stay and talk?" I'm sorry, did he just meet you? Did he not know what would happen when you eventually found out? Stay strong, OP. When you find out, let us know how other betrayed spouse ended up handling his business. Next person says, despite what many may think, I strongly believe that it's vitally important for older children to be told the truth, in an age-appropriate manner, about the real reason for their parents' relationship. Break down when it's due to infidelity. Kids are intuitive, so hiding the truth just compounds to their confusion, hurt, and a sense of betrayal. It's bad enough that their wayward parent has intentionally deceived this entire family. The last thing they need is to be continually lied to by everyone else. Honesty and transparency is particularly important when dealing with teenagers. OP, you did the right thing because your babies need to know the truth to be able to start making sense of what's happening. I have to admit that reading your children's reactions was heartbreaking. The hurt experienced by the betrayed is the reason why I always reiterate that infidelity is so traumatizing for the betrayed spouse and their kids, because it's a form of emotional and psychological abuse. It's important that waywards understand the profound, long-lasting damage they're causing and the abuse they're inflicting when they choose to cheat. Your wayward husband really is a selfish, self-seeking coward for willfully destroying his beautiful, innocent family in such a cruel manner. As painful as it was, you truly handled the situation like a queen. Please ensure to get your kids an individual counseling ASAP and find a good infidelity trauma therapist for yourself. The OP replies, I had a session with my therapist about strategies. For my kid's age group, she had said to present it in a vague, bare-bones way we had presented it in, and then answer questions honestly. She said many teens already have suspicions of the cause of the breakup. Some teens will want to discuss their suspicions, some won't. By using the strategy she suggested, it gives the teens agency. It gives them the power of deciding what they are capable of hearing. I explained all of this to my soon-to-be ex, which made me even more frustrated in his silence. I'm that parent that will go to therapy when my kids are going through crap. I'm a Montessori-trained teacher, although have been a stay-at-home mom since they are babies, and have raised my kids on that philosophy. If your kids are going through crap, what are you doing as a parent to trigger it, and what can you do as a parent to help them cope? This moment was meant to, at a minimum, establish trust between soon-to-be ex and the kids, and he blew it. Nothing quite like a good old confession to bring everyone closer together, right? The highlight has to be your oldest calling him a hypocrite. I mean, it's not every day you get schooled by your kid on respect and integrity. I hope your ex took some notes during that lecture. And your exit line, asking if the lows were worth it? Brilliant. It's like you're in a drama, and he's realizing he's the villain. And let's not forget the pièce de résistance, your son's plea to make sure this guy doesn't come back. It's clear your kids are smart cookies, and they see right through the BS. Update 5. Hi all, I'm sorry for my delayed update. It's been a roller coaster ride of so many emotions to deal with. Emotions of my own, my kids, and some family. My mother-in-law and father-in-law returned from vacation last week, and they are having a really hard time with it all. My soon-to-be ex and his siblings sat down with them to break the news, and they are devastated. My mother-in-law has called me every day to be a support system, but the conversation usually turns into her saying, I didn't raise him to be this way, and crying. My father-in-law tried to talk me into reconciliation for the kids. I know he is coming from a genuine place as they are both very worried about the kids, so I'm trying to be patient with him. He is very disappointed in my soon-to-be ex and has had to put a pause on our conversations because he is brought to tears. The kids have started therapy. They have opted for group sessions together. Their therapist has encouraged this approach as he says it will help their healing process to learn to be a healthy support system to each other. Reconciliation with their father will be a long process and might look differently to each of the kids. Group sessions will help each of them to accept each of their individual journeys towards reconciliation with their father, so it will not damage the sibling relationship. My soon-to-be ex and I had our first proper conversation about the affair and our separation divorce. He still wants reconciliation. I do not. Something I asked him was, if roles were reversed, would you forgive me? We both know he wouldn't. His response was, you're a better person than I am. Basically, he was expecting that if he were to get caught, I would give him a chance to reconcile. He never thought I would decide on divorce. I said, you have higher expectations for me than you do for yourself. Do you think that's fair? I had a session with my therapist since our talk. Maybe some of you might have insight on this. My therapist said what my soon-to-be ex said is very common in wayward people. They don't think the relationship will end without being given the opportunity for reconciliation. They feel entitled to reconciliation because they spent so much time blaming their betrayed spouse to excuse their infidelity. Has anyone else experienced this? Last week, there were an array of emotions. Anger, sadness, grief, anger. The last few days, I've felt detached. Many people have asked for updates on another betrayed spouse. I feel like he is much further along in this crazy process than I am, probably because he had suspected his wife's infidelity for a number of years. The affair partner is staying with her sister. As far as I know, there's been no contact between her and my soon-to-be ex. Other betrayed spouse says affair partner is angry at soon-to-be ex because she thought they would be together. She threw that in other betrayed spouse's face when he confronted her, and now she has egg on her face. I have shown other betrayed spouse all of my posts and all of your words of support and advice. I felt it was only fair he knew I was posting our business. I'm trying to talk him into joining Reddit, if only to peruse these support subs, as I've found them so helpful. He says he's not a social media guy, but he'll think about it. Thank you all so much for your advice and support. I know I've been absent, and so many of you have commented and sent me messages to check in on me. Having these outlets available has been such comfort for me. I can't properly express how much. The family drama intensifies. It sounds like your soon-to-be ex's infidelity is the gift that keeps on giving, spreading joy and heartbreak to everyone involved. Your mother-in-law's daily calls must be a real treat. I can only imagine the uplifting conversations. I didn't raise him to be this way. And then she bursts into tears. Maybe next time, suggest she turns her emotional support efforts towards her son. You know, the one who actually messed up. Update 6 and D-Day 2. Preface. Any names mentioned are not real names. They are fake names to make things less confusing. To all of the veteran betrayed spouses who warned me he's done this before, you were right. Very early this morning, I woke up to an Instagram message sent to me in the middle of the night. From a affair partner. From a fake Instagram account. I have her blocked on all social medias. Hi, it's a affair partner, just so you know. I'm not the only one. Ask him about Megan. I've got a feeling he's been lying to both of us and felt you deserve to know. How nice of a affair partner after screwing my husband for 7 months to suddenly think of my feelings. Screenshot it, didn't respond, blocked the account. Ironically, soon-to-be ex was stopping by at 9 a.m. as we had to go over financial information, go over our monthly budget, and him finding living arrangements locally. I call my sister on the verge of a panic attack. Panicked, I just found this info and I'm going to see him in 2 hours. She calms me down. We try to brainstorm about who Meg can be, how to find out who she is. I sure as hell wasn't going to ask a affair partner. My sister calms me down somewhat, tells me to confront him and record on my phone for evidence. Instead of this being a productive conversation about finances and future arrangements, it's D-Day 2. Soon-to-be ex comes over with coffee and bagels. How nice. We sit down in the kitchen and I ask, so have you spoken to a affair partner? He says he had her blocked on everything, but she was trying to contact him at work last week, and finally, on Friday, he had it out with her and told her to stop contacting him. I ask, how about Megan? He looks surprised. Huh? Megan, have you talked to her? He starts saying he doesn't know what I'm talking about, and I just say, you can't keep doing this to me, acting like I'm crazy. Please just tell me the truth. I'm having panic attacks, can't sleep, just please. I know, I know, I need the truth. To make a long story short, Megan is a woman from the organization he joined 5 years ago of professionals who get together to network, get ideas on team building strategy, growth strategies, marketing. They get together 6 times a year in different destinations. My take has always been it's a bunch of yuppies using business networking as an excuse to go on extravagant vacations every other month. Affair with Megan began June 2019 and ended April 2020. He claims it ended because he felt guilty, but I think it really ended because of the COVID shutdowns. Megan lives in a neighboring state but works in the city. At first he swore their hookups were only on these trips, but after some pushback from me, he admitted they met in the city a few times. He said he's had no contact at all with her in over a year because she left the group. But wait, there's more. I asked him if there were any others. Begged him, please don't make me find out on my own. Just tell me now. I can't do any more of these confrontations. He said there was one more affair partner, almost 5 years ago, a few months after we bought the apartment. He dated Cindy for 3 months. They had sex only a few times and ended it because Cindy didn't know soon-to-be ex was married. She dumped him when she learned he was married. After I told him to leave, I call my sister, fill her in. She asks if I'm going to tell Megan's husband. Yeah, duh. She says better do it soon before he warns her. Look her up on Instagram and Facebook. Nothing. My sister is also checking. Megan must have blocked me because my sister found her right away. She found husband on Instagram. I couldn't. Guess she blocked me there too. But I was able to find his work info and work email. So I send other betrayed spouse Craig an email explaining everything. He calls me within 20 minutes of the email. Turns out he caught Megan sexting another member of that group last year, which is why she left the group. They've been in marriage counseling for a year. Craig said he knew in his gut there was more, and she gaslit him for the last year. He asked for the recording I made of soon-to-be ex admitting the details, and we will be in touch. All of this happened before lunch. I'm shocked, angry, hurt. I feel like I don't know this person anymore. Of course there was more. Shake my head. Update 7. I'm a proud mom of a high school graduate as of this past weekend. This weekend, actually this last week, was full of lots of emotions. His prom was a few days before graduation too. I wish I could say I went into these special moments with a positive mindset, but I failed miserably, I fear. I think this is because when you get to these huge milestones, which aren't just milestones for your kids, but also for yourself and for your relationship, it also brings up memories of the past as well as all those plans and dreams for the future. And I've spent a lot of mind space questioning memories of the past as being valid for real because of soon-to-be ex-husband betrayals, as well as mourning those future plans and dreams. It's odd sharing space at what should be a momentous occasion for our kids with the person who betrayed you. It's odd sitting next to your wayward spouse at the oldest kid's graduation, knowing without this cloud over us, we would be high-fiving each other saying, "We got one through high school, 2 more to go." Instead, it was anxiety and silence. It was our 2 other kids opting to sit next to their cousins to avoid their father. It was both of our families getting together for the first time, who normally are pretty tight and friendly, be tense and awkward. I planned a huge barbecue for my son, lots of family and friends. Our immediate family know the reasons for our separation, our extended does not, so it felt like putting on a show in a way. The week leading into the party was a week filled with anxiety and racing thoughts, like movies I can't stop playing in my head of the betrayals. My oldest pulled me aside last week and told me he had been talking to his college about delaying his entrance for a year so he can stick around home and be a support system to me, help me with things around the house and with his brother and sister. I told him absolutely not. He's worked his butt off for 4 years to go to this university and he's going. It makes me so angry at my ex. So angry that his choices, his selfishness has made my kids feel responsible for me, worries about me, that they needed to pick up his slack, make up for his choices. It shouldn't be that way. My ex has finally retained a divorce attorney. He's been informed via my attorney that all contact should be made through attorneys, unless pertaining to the immediate needs of our kids, in which case communication will be made through a parenting app. Of course, my ex is not happy with this. At our son's graduation, he wanted to know why we can't at least be friends. My response was, my friends don't F me over the way you did. He is still in contact with Megan, a fair partner too, and he continues to get together with her. He claims to have gone no contact with her. I guess he thinks I'm an idiot. Like I don't have contact still with Craig, other betrayed spouse too. I have told him he won't know what hits him if he attempts to bring that woman around my kids. And by the way, I have informed his parents exactly who he's been hanging out with. Call me vindictive if you will, but anyone F's with my kids, even their other parent, I will go full mama bear on them. He claims he would never do that. I said, yeah, there's a lot of things I thought you'd never do, but here we are. Other betrayed spouse 1 is ahead of the game than me. He got his ex, affair partner 1, served divorce papers at work. They used to work together at the same place she is currently employed, so when she got served, of course some of his old colleagues reached out to him to check in, and let's just say he didn't hold back. Apparently, this put affair partner 1 into a spiral. Well, that's it for now. For a few weeks I thought I was doing well, somewhat on my way to moving forward, but this last week I feel like I'm back to square one in a way. Anxiety, mind racing, movies, anger, tears. It has all come crashing back. How are y'all doing? Nothing like a party where the guests are clueless about the storm brewing behind the scenes and the audacity of your ex wanting to be friends. Yeah, because friends totally do what he did. I loved your response. My friends don't F me over the way you did. If only there was an award for the best one-liner during a breakup. But it's no surprise that this week brought back all of the emotions. It's hard to move forward when every milestone is tainted by betrayal. Just remember, you're not back to square one. Progress isn't always linear, and feeling those emotions is part of the healing process. Update 8. The further along I go on this new path of infidelity, the more I am seeing my ex for who he really is, an idiot. It's such a strange experience to have the blinders removed from D-Day to see the person you've spent 2 decades with for who they really are, an idiot. I can come up with more colorful descriptions of him, but I'm trying really hard to be classy. My oldest son's 18th birthday was last week. He didn't want anything big, so I put together a barbecue pool party for close family, including his aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents, and ex. He made plans with friends for later. My siblings refused to speak to my ex, so there was that awkwardness. It was tense. But the party ultimately was a success, as much of a success as I could have expected under the circumstances, considering 18-year-old is not on speaking terms with his father. Let me preface example number 1 on why my ex is an idiot with, my cousin's son and my son are the same age. I'm very close to my cousin, and the boys are very close too. My cousin and his son are super into dirt biking. My son would love to be into it too, but it's the one sport I've said no to. However, since the boys turned 13, I've allowed my cousin to take my son with his son for a yearly camping dirt biking trip every summer. They actually are planning to go next week. Anywho, to get to the point where my ex is an idiot. Towards the end of the party, my ex presents my son his gift, a motorcycle. Yes, a motorcycle. Of course, he bought one for himself as well. I don't know what to say. I know you like dirt biking, so I thought this would be cool. This isn't a dirt bike, and I don't have a motorcycle license. We can get you one. I am leaving the state for college in a month. What am I going to do with this? Maybe you can bring it to school. Freshmen can't have cars on campus, and in any way, where would I keep it? My son might seem ungrateful here, but what happened next is he got really quiet and just walked away. This is not like him. He's a pleaser, very conflict avoidant. My ex was upset, asking what the F. My daughter, 16, much more combative than my son, says, "He knows you're trying to bribe him, Dad." And she's right. This is what my ex does. Instead of doing what he needs to do to work on things, he will try to charm his way or bribe his way back into good graces with grand gestures. This time, it backfired. Example number 2 of why my ex is an idiot. As he is leaving from the party, I remind him he should make his flight reservations for when we move my son into his dorm next month. He says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I can't go, something came up." Apparently, he is working on himself. He dropped therapy because it wasn't helping him and found a life coach instead. He booked a meditation retreat across the country for that week. I'm proud of myself because I didn't say a word in response. My spidey senses were piqued. I had a gut feeling he was hiding something. He told me he was going on his own to work on himself, to really focus on himself. But gut feeling was telling me something, and I wasn't going to question it because I've been working real hard at maintaining very low contact. I called Craig, of the betrayed spouse too, the next day to check in. I asked him if Megan was going away next month. Surprise, surprise, she's going on a week-long meditation retreat. My ex thinks I'm an idiot, but he's the real idiot. I don't understand how he can think he can ever rebuild a relationship with his kids if he doesn't put the work into it. If it was me, I would be doing everything I could to prove myself to my kids. I'd be showing up always, even if I had to stay in the background, to show them that no matter what, I will always be there, even if they're pissed at me, not speaking to me, even if I make mistakes. I would always fight for relationships with my kids. My ex gets him a motorcycle as a quick fix, when what he should be doing is showing up for major life events, even if, no, especially if, it's difficult to do. It's frustrating to watch, but what I've learned in therapy is that my ex's relationship with the kids is up to him to maintain, not me. I'm only responsible for my own relationship with them. But God, it's so hard to watch. So naturally, your ex buys him a motorcycle, because that makes sense, right? Your son, the pleaser, just walks away. Your ex, baffled. Your daughter, calling it like it is. He knows you're trying to bribe him, Dad. Nailed it. Hang in there. Your kids see who's really showing up for them, and that's what matters most. And as for your ex, well, he's just burying his own grave, isn't he? But you're absolutely right. It doesn't make it easy to watch. You're handling your side with grace and strength. What do you make of all of this? What would you have done? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon!